Inside the Fox 59 CBS 4 podcast studio, welcome to the Colts Blue Zone Podcast. I'm Dave Griffiths. Glad to have you here. Joining me as always, Mike Chappell, Matt Adams. The Colts are 4-1, back to their winning ways. Good vibes in Indianapolis, and they stay at home. There's been a plethora of home games, it just seems like, Chap. Probably just because it's been back-to-back home games, but they remain on top of the AFC South 4-1, and on top of the AFC, in fact, as a whole, if the season ended today.
Yeah,
if the
was
playoffs
crazy.
started today.
Yeah, let's go.
The Colts
Number one seed.
The Colts wouldn't play. They have a bye
And a home.
waiting for a home game.
Home field guaranteed throughout
Wow.
the playoffs right now. Your Indianapolis Colts. But no, I mean, I asked Jonathan Taylor that today. We'll get to this week's game, get to the Cardinals in the second. Just about, like, you're not used to this, honestly, this situation,
Not
this
been here
scenario.
before.
Like, they haven't been. The Colts have always lost to start the season and then struggled a little bit to get out and are having to chase
Right.
for the rest of the year. And sometimes it led to good results at the end of the year, but most of the time it hasn't because it's hard to chase in the NFL. So
Well, you get down to the last 2 or 3 weeks, and then
Mhm.
you've used up your mulligans
right.
to where you have a bad game. Everything has to fall into place. So this is. I asked DeForest Buckner about that because he's been part of these slow starts. I think his best start here was 3-1, 3-2 maybe. But in Frisco, they started his last year when they went to the Super Bowl. They were like 8-0.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows. And he also knows that because you're 8-0 or 4-1, you really haven't accomplished anything. You just put yourself in position.
It's true.
So he's smart enough and veteran enough to know that you've got to maintain what you're doing.
And if you're watching us here on the Fox 59 Now app or YouTube, appreciate that. And also, you just saw the standings a minute ago, and the Jaguars are nipping right at the Colts' heels right now. I mean, they're a good team. They have wins over the Chiefs and the 49ers right now. So, like, the Colts are out in front based on tiebreakers. Both them and the Jaguars are 4-1. I think that's going to be two good battles. And then the Texans, they're only 2-3 right now. But one of the biggest indicators of team success over the course of the year is point differential. And the Colts and the Texans, excuse me.
Say not the
Not
Titans.
the Titans.
Not
No,
the
no, no.
Titans.
Are both in the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFL in point differential right now. So for the Texans, their defense has been exceptional this year. They're allowing like 16 points per game. And I know that some people tried to pile on CJ Stroud because of his struggles early in the year. And it was like, hold on a second. Like, just give it a beat. I know that offensive line is not good. And we've talked about it here on the podcast a couple times as we go down the AFC South and talk about what's going on in the Colts division. But Stroud is too good of a quarterback if he stays healthy. To be as less than average as he was. I don't want to say completely bad the first couple weeks of the season, but not up to par. Like, I thought that his game would raise as
Right.
he kind of went through the year, and he got used to the situation that he is in there. So, like, all that to say, like, I think the AFC South is going to be a real battle this year because I think all 3 of those teams are pretty good teams right now.
That's why it's important, as we've said, get off to the good start because
Exactly.
the schedule. Again, the Jaguars have beaten. They've played the Niners in Kansas City.
Mhm.
Well, they're on the tail end of the Colts schedule. So you're basically playing the same schedule as You're playing 15 of the same opponents, and
Right.
then the other 2 are where they were in the standings. So this schedule, like I said, going into Berlin, up to Berlin, it's just doable.
Got to take
It's
advantage of it.
doable. You know, I thought that the 2 losses early were to the Rams and the Chargers. Right now, the Chargers are a mess,
Right?
and you go out there and play and take care of their offensive line problems, and who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's important. And then when you get to the back end, we'll see whether teams have gotten better, gotten worse, whether you've avoided injuries.
Right.
But it's so much. This is 101. It's so much easier to play from in front,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a game or the season.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to take advantage of this advantageous opening.
Injuries will be a big deal for the Colts this week as they face off against the Cardinals for both sides. But the Cardinals, they have a quarterback right now who don't know if he's going to be healthy. We'll certainly get to that in Kyler Murray and how much he means to that team.
And they also, we'll get to it, but they also have a long list
Yes.
of injured
that's
frontline players.
That's just one. Like that's 1A. Everything else is pretty important too. Before we go on, Matt, did you see Trevor Lawrence's game-winning touchdown against the Chiefs?
I did.
For the Jaguars.
Like a wounded baby gazelle learning to walk.
Yep. Falling down, and then nobody gets to him.
I couldn't believe it because, I mean...
Well, Chris Jones is just standing there. For the
Did he think the play was over?
He might have.
But then he thought they were going to whistle it dead. I don't know.
Then you got to get going once you realize that no one's whistled it dead.
That's the thing is when you see him running, the other players did, and this is your best player.
Yeah.
Didn't it wasn't a lack of effort. There was no effort.
Bro. Played to the echo of the whistle. Right?
So it was strange.
Could not believe that one when I saw it. And I mean, almost every time you see that happen to a quarterback where he trips over the guard, that play's done.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's over. Somebody's going to be there in the backfield. They're going to touch him
they
down.
said Lawrence said he was thinking about heaving it out of the back of the end zone.
Right.
He said, I was panicking.
Uh-huh.
But
then he gets around, breaks a tackle, and
okay, if you're not going to tackle me, I'll take it in.
I did see one funny video on X just of a fan reaction in the stands because somebody's taking cell phone video, and the guy when he falls because you could see it like the play in the background. He's watching it. He throws up his hands, puts his head down, and then you hear the crowd start to get excited, so he lifts it back up again and he scores. And it was really good, really funny. And the Jaguar fans should be enjoying their early season success right now, right along with the Colts at 4-1 and tied at the top of not just the AFC South, but the AFC as well. Some news and notes that we have to get through before really diving into this week's game as the Colts host the Cardinals here in Week 6, a game once again broadcast on Fox 59 if you're located in central Indiana, 1 p.m. kick. The Colts need a new kicker. Spencer Schrader is out. The Money Badger is back. Michael Badgley has signed to replace Spencer Schrader for the Colts. He's bounced around the league for most of his career after starting it for several years with the San Diego, now Los Angeles Chargers. But he came to Indy in 2021 as an injury replacement back then for Rodrigo Blankenship. And he is, Chap, we were talking about this just on our way in, that he's available for a reason, as most free agents are.
Yeah.
And once you get to free agent kickers, there's a marked reason why these guys are not selected for one of the 32 spots around the league. Because even if you get down to 20, 25 in terms of the best kickers in the NFL, they have obvious deficiencies in their kicking game. Once you get past 32, they become more obvious. Now, Badgley has some obvious strengths as well. If you count just kicks under 50 yards, in his career, he's not bad.
It's like 88%.
Which is pretty darn good.
It's not great because nowadays it's 90. 88 is pretty good.
But once you get over 50 yards, he drastically, and I mean drastically,
big drop off.
5 of 13
trails off. It is
under
not good.
What, sub 40%?
The crazy, his longest in his career is 59 yards, but he hit that all the way back as a rookie, back in 2018. He doesn't have the leg strength to be a number one NFL kicker. But if you're put into a position like the Colts are in now, where your guy is hurt, you can bring him in, say, do what you're supposed to do, make those kicks under 50, and then it helps to have a head coach who's an aggressive play caller who is willing to go for it more between the yardage lines of 30 and 45 or whatever it is exactly in there. Take your pick. And the Colts seem to have that in Shane Steichen as well. So this is a combination, at least, that makes some sense to me, Chap, that they would bring in Badgley, a guy they're familiar with here, and also with an offense that has been clicking reasonably well and getting third and fourth and short and relatively more willing to go for it in some of those situations.
Right, and Steichen reminded us that they were together with the Chargers for 3 years.
Right.
But let's be honest, Schrader hadn't shown us the strong leg either.
I
think he had one kick over, I think his long was 52 or 53, whatever. So now, and maybe it was there and just didn't have the opportunities. But we were talking also is this will require discussions with the offense on what's the target line on field goals? The 33?
What are we doing around midfield?
Right.
That changes your strategy.
Right. So will they go for it more on fourth down? And Shane doesn't need a whole lot of reasons to go for it on fourth down.
Oh, twist my arm, why don't you?
Oh, I know it. So, but that's what you think about, and what it will require Badgley to make the kicks when you stall at the 20 and you've got a 38-yard field goal. You can't be dancing around those. He's taken over for a kicker who still is leading the league in points, I think, field goals.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically after not playing. I mean, what do you have? 2 PATs, I think, against the Raiders, I think it was. So, again, it's never a good thing to be changing players midseason, and it's really not a good thing to be changing a quarterback. Good luck in Cincinnati, Joe Flacco. I mean, come on.
God bless you.
I know. But then kickers. And the one thing you don't want to be doing is bringing a kicker for your injured kicker, and then that kicker struggles. And then in 3 weeks, you got more tryouts.
You're auditioning another.
Then you're just flailing away. Yeah. And so good luck to him. Again, he's been here. This is his 3rd time, so he knows his way around.
Yep.
And what's really important is when he kicked here in 21, his holder and snapper were Luke Rhodes and Sanchez.
Very nice.
That's not a little thing. So it's kind of cool that he's going to have not a big transition on how do you like the ball leaned and how do you like it, where do you like it. So, but it's just never a good thing to be changing after 5 games.
The one thing that's maybe mildly concerning to me about Badgley is how last season ended for him with the Lions. He tore his hamstring.
It was in July.
Yes,
so
exactly. So it ended
right
like in July.
And when you tear a hamstring, somebody I think Joel brought that up, is how do you know when it's right? Because the extension on your kicking. But it took him quite a while to get back.
It did. So, he's got that going for him. It took him, he wasn't forced into action. He had time to recover. He had time
kind
to
of like
rehab.
Xavier Howard.
Kind of like Xavier Howard.
Where he had the Liz Frank and didn't play last year. So.
Right. So we'll see how that goes. Is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, you mentioned also that Badgley has been with the Colts twice before. We mentioned 2021. He was here as an undrafted rookie.
I'd forgotten that because I was looking at, and I made a mention of it in my stories. He's got 38 transactions on his bio.
It's
38. It's a long.
He's got U-Haul on speed dial.
A lot of it is elevated to the active roster, back to practice squad, but still 38.
That's a lot.
So, and it's in 6 years, 6+ years.
One of the Adam Vinatieri trainees that has made a career in the NFL. Add him to the list of guys like McManus, Cody Parkey. Who else is? There's another one that's done really well and is escaping me right now.
McLaughlin.
Yeah, that's it. Chase McLaughlin is the other one that I was thinking of. Who's doing really well.
The Vinny tree.
Exactly. It's like the coaching tree.
Right.
It's the Vinny tree, as all these kickers have gone on to some pretty good success. The Colts hope to squeeze a little bit of success out of Michael Badgley for the rest of this season. They also signed linebacker Jermaine Pratt. Pratt had started the season with the Raiders, but the Raiders had released him just this past week.
Strange. He started 4 games, and then they said, stay home.
See you later.
We need your seat on the plane going to Indy.
A little awkward, a little weird. So the Raiders released him, and then the Colts scooped him right up.
Right.
Let's see. Pratt said that he had some interest from other teams. I think 3 or 4 other teams was what
that's the report
was.
I read.
Yeah, the report. Yeah. And he favored the Colts, obviously, because of, if you're watching again on our Fox 59 Now app or on YouTube, you can see why. Because of his time in Cincinnati, when Lou Anarumo was the defensive coordinator there. And Jermaine Pratt was a very productive player there.
Right.
So the Colts chap are trying to fill in that spot beside Zaire Franklin that has seen some ups and downs so far, and I think that's a nice way of putting it this year.
Yeah, and the one thing with Pratt again is again, he made it a point that when Lou was his first coordinator, was a coordinator for the first time in Cincy, Pratt was like a 3rd-round pick. But he just said the thing with the Raiders just didn't work out, and I think he starts Sunday. I really do. He knows the defense. He's played over 200 snaps in the first month of the season. I'm sure some terminology things that'll be different, but they've just tried to find that guy from McGrone they thought it was going to be Carlisle, which it hasn't been. He's still on IR.
Still on IR, not
the practice,
not practicing yet. And who was the guy is it Chad Muma?
Yeah, Chad Muma's played sparingly.
So they've just and Joe Bocci again. I have no idea what his injury is.
Now on injured reserve, mysteriously
with something. I understand they devalue they've devalued linebacker, but not to this level. You have to have something. So it's just really going to be curious how they handle it. One thing that struck me, though, they had a chance to sign Jermaine Pratt when the Bengals released him, and they didn't.
Right.
And I was told that, money will be an issue. It all depends on the money. And he signed a 1-year deal worth, I think, a maximum of $4.5 million.
It wasn't a huge
It wasn't massive.
contract. Yeah.
So if Lou really, really wanted him, a month ago, 5 weeks, he had the chance.
Right.
So it just makes it's just a little strange that now they must see we really need help at linebacker.
Right. And I think that's a big part of it. We've heard in the past the line from Chris Ballard, like, we like our guys.
Right.
And that was specifically really for the defensive backs, is what he's been saying it for the
Lou
past
didn't like him.
3 or 4 years. Exactly. And Lou got what he wanted there in that case. So it lends me to believe, at least, that if Lou really wanted Jermaine Pratt, he probably could have gotten him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So this looks like more of a
like, we tried our guys.
I hate the word desperation, but that's kind of what it is. Well, we tried.
Mm-hmm. We tried our guys.
We tried your guys.
We tried your guys.
No, they like you said, they've gone through a lot of different guys. They've used Ajike. They've used very sparingly Muma. Bocce got significant playing time for the Colts on both as a defensive player and on special teams. He was very valuable on special teams, but also picked up a couple penalties in recent weeks, which probably has not helped.
Doolin, ouch.
Ruined
98
the day.
touchdown.
Yes, a long kickoff return. You don't get those opportunities too often. And it was a big day for Ashton, which we can certainly mention.
Yeah, I meant to put in just kind of, this is an Ashton Doolin appreciation podcast.
It should be.
Because, you just talk about a guy you can plug in. He's going to give you his all on special teams. He's a great gunner, one of the best in the league there at that position. And then you can just plug him into your offense, and you know that he's going to be in the right spot, doing the right things. It's a beautiful thing to have.
He's kind of like, personnel-wise, roster-wise, Jack Doyle. You've got to have a Jack Doyle or an Ashton Doolin on your roster. Now, you can't have too many.
Right.
You can't do that. But whenever they've had that need at receiver, they'll put Ashton in there, and he's going to give you. I mean, in his day, we talked to Reggie Wayne today. That could have been like a massive day because he had the one on the sideline where he got blown up, didn't get his feet down.
Right.
There's another where he's on the sideline where Jones overthrew him.
Right.
What do you have? 2 catches for 55 yards?
Yeah, I think it was 2 for 55.
And it could have been 5 for 140.
Yep.
So, but those are I've tried to remember they had Zach Pascal.
Of course.
Same kind of guy, to where he's a core special teams player. But man, when you need him on offense, he's going to give you something.
You've got him where you want him, I think. Like, this is the perfect guy for the spot for his role on the team. And I think that brings up a good back and forth between him and A.D. Mitchell. You're like, if Ashton just did this in this game, why not stick with Ashton? If you can rely on him, you can't rely on A.D. Like, I think that's the question a fan would have. The answer is certainly partially a complicated one. Has to do with where he was drafted.
He was a second-round draft pick.
Exactly. Has to do with the capital the team is invested in him. Go ahead.
And the skill set at the position.
Like, there are things that Mitchell does that Ashton cannot do. And like you're
talking the good parts.
I know. Like, they're what the Colts are doing is they see the good parts.
Yes.
And they're trying to iron out the bad parts.
You can't give up on Mitchell. You can't.
Yes, because of the good parts, because he does get open. He has a special ability that few receivers in the NFL have.
I agree with you.
So to give up on him this early in his career would be foolish. Now, at the end of the day,
at some point,
yes, they could look bad with this, as they kind of ended up with a little egg on their face after the whole Anthony Richardson and how they've dealt with him for the first couple of years of his career.
It was obvious the way that game last week went that he wasn't going to play.
Right.
He was not going to step on the field until it got to be mop-up time. And then they had the play.
Then in mop-up time,
the one target where he breaks the route off and Richardson throws deep, you see Reggie Wayne's reaction was like, I think Mitchell ran the wrong route.
Mm-hmm. That's what it seemed like to us,
right?
Because of Reggie's reaction.
So, and we talked to Reggie today, and he just kept harping that he's a young kid, and you learn from your mistakes, and And I understand that. And at some point, there will have to be, if this keeps up, tough decisions and discussions. And more immediately, we'll see what the injury report is briefly in a little bit. But Alec Pierce is tracking to play.
Well, he was tracking last week until Friday.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So we'll see if he practices today and tomorrow. And if so, what do you do with Mitchell?
Mm-hmm.
Do you dress 6 receivers, meaning including Doolin and Anthony and Gould, who are special teams guys? Or if the idea that Mitchell wouldn't play with Pierce back, you just make him inactive. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep saying he's got to earn it. Well, I don't know that he wasn't earning it on the practice field because he's a great practice player. But you see the immaturity. We see it in training camp. We've seen it at practices where he makes a catch and he'll celebrate, spin the ball or whatever and look at the crowd. That's practice. And you practice how you play, and they need to find that balance with Mitchell to where you don't want to take away the enthusiasm, but there's a time and a place, and the best place for it is in the end zone.
That's the ideal place. Yes, exactly. Perhaps the only place.
Well, you want to say act like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. Well, he hasn't been.
It's fair.
In the NFL, he hasn't been.
That is fair.
So
very fair.
But they are not ready to give up on him at all.
You mentioned Alec Pierce remains in concussion protocol, but was a full participant in Wednesday's practice.
Right.
That was the case last week. He was full on Wednesday.
And
he was
Thursday.
full on Thursday. And then after Thursday's practice, just things did not feel great for him.
He still had some level of symptoms.
Yes.
And didn't practice
didn't feel right on Friday when he got up.
Right. So it didn't practice at all. So
or I don't know whether it was that day or Thursday evening. I don't know what it was.
He was technically listed, as a full participant in Thursday's practice, but might have been after.
But you could practice and come in at 7 o'clock and say, "Hey, man, I'd feel something."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So to be determined this week. Like good first signs on Wednesday, but we just saw last week how it's that doesn't confirm anything.
That's what we always say. Don't get bent out of shape on Wednesday and Thursday injury reports.
And I thought these injuries, this concussion for Pierce, it came after one of his better games overall, just overall play. I know he's had more dynamic plays than we saw in the win in the loss to the Rams. But he had a pretty complete game, I thought, doing a lot of underneath stuff, some good crossing routes, moving the chains. And that's kind of what he said this offseason he wanted to more exemplify in his game, thinking that he could do it, and he's shown that he can.
And still give you the deep shots.
Of course. Yeah, you don't want to get rid of that because that's the A++ trait that he has that separates him from other receivers. But hey, if he's going to get a big contract this offseason, which all the more and more it looks like he is, or at least a what's it called? A franchise tag.
I say a franchise tag.
One or the other.
Works too.
It's he's taking steps towards doing that. So it would be great for the Colts to get him back in the lineup. Mike Hilton and Joe Bacci both ended up on injured reserve after last week. And Kenny Moore, who is not on injury reserve, has discussed his Achilles recovery.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, me neither.
We talked to Kenny yesterday, and this will be he's missed 2 games.
Yes.
He won't practice this week, or at least limited, and he didn't practice yesterday. I don't think he's practicing today, so he's not going to play Sunday. And a guy with an Achilles, let's say he practices 3 days next week. You're going to play him?
Yeah.
See, I just they've got some very smart people over there, medical rehab and all that. I don't understand why he wasn't on IR. That's 4 games, and now you're at the point that IR doesn't make sense. Because then you're talking 4 more games.
Right, you're hoping that you've progressed long enough now that
so we'll see.
Do that.
But Kenny was somewhat subdued yesterday, and the quote that just jumped out at me is when the injury happened. He said, "Yeah, it didn't feel ideal." He said, "But I dodged a bullet." He said, "I dodged a full rupture of the Achilles." Well, that generally means that it was partially.
Right.
And I've always thought a partial was...
It's still a tear.
Right. So, but then somebody mentioned, well, apparently it was inflamed or whatever. But when you say I dodged a full tear, it's just strange. But this is an injury that you simply have to give
time.
It's the caution you need.
Yep.
And like he said, well, you don't want to come back too quick, and then it turns into a calf, and then the calf works its way up your leg and your body, and then you're really messed up. And this is an ultimate competitor. He wants to be out there, but he understands this is a little different. The Achilles is a little different. So we'll see. I think it's going to be another. Maybe he comes back for in 3 games, which would be, I don't know if that's whether that's Pittsburgh or Tennessee. I look at the schedule, but I'm just don't understand no IR for him.
No, me neither. But nevertheless, that's the situation we're in. So we are going to wait to see about Kenny Moore. Let's talk about Daniel Jones here right quick before we take a break on our Fox 59 Now app. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones is a top 5 QB this year in completion percentage, in passing yards, in yards per completion. He's been sacked just 4 times in 5 games, certainly leading to some of those quality stats that I just mentioned. He's 8th in the NFL in passer rating, 105.1, and has some really good advanced metrics numbers as well. If you like to dive into stuff like that, like bad throw percentage, play action yards, play action attempts, pressure rate. I saw like some stat online also about Shane Steichen about what he's been calling this year and his numbers of RPOs and play actions, or at least that type of action in the backfield. And it's been a really high number. And it's been working really well for both him, for Daniel Jones, for Jonathan Taylor, who's the number 1 predictor of ESPN's fantasy teams that are 5-0 on the year. So Jonathan Taylor's having a great season, and Daniel Jones is one of the 2 heads of the snake, I would say, because I think Jonathan Taylor deserves to be listed in that same category with what he's been able to accomplish. But the quarterback chap continues to not be any reason for the Colts' offensive deficiencies right now, whatever they might be.
I mean, we all talked about it again. Is what this team needed. Again, maybe I had more regard for the roster than you did because we had this discussion.
That's totally fair.
But I always said just give them competent quarterback play. Well, he's 2 levels above that.
Yeah, way above that.
Way above that.
Yep.
And what I keep coming back to is I think that this is sustainable because I don't think he's doing anything out of the ordinary.
Just kind of business as usual.
He's just, and it can't be boring when you're number 2 in the league in scoring,
right?
And all this, but it's just efficient. Maybe that's the word. Remember how Shane Steichen said he's a guy that'll find completions.
Mm-hmm. And we thought that was a silly thing to say, but
it is.
Not.
That's what it is. Move the chains. And the one thing they've not really done, like you mentioned, the RPOs, they've really not run Jones. I haven't got the stats in front of me. He can't hit 50 yards. Can't. Now, 3rd and 1, pretty good.
Good, yes.
So, and that's one part of his game.
He's got 56 yards.
Okay. Then there's
just barely.
But
remember, one of those was on that one long scramble too.
Right.
So.
But remember his playoff year with the Giants, he ran for 700 some yards.
Right.
He set a franchise record for quarterback rushing. So that's why I say this is sustainable. Now, not 6 straight touchdowns like they did on possessions, which is just insane.
It is.
It's insane.
Franchise record.
I don't care who you're playing. And the Raiders are not very good.
No.
They're not good. But I like what they're doing. And Jonathan Taylor, he really I think there's another level of his game to where he doesn't like the first part of the Raiders game. He was 8 yards on 7 carries.
Mm-hmm.
But he just wears your rear end down. And he's going to break one. He would have broken probably the game-winning run against the Rams, if not for a hold. So I like what they're doing. And the fact that they've not really missed a beat without Alec Pierce is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And you talked about the 2-headed snake. I would almost say 3-headed snake with Tyler Warren. He's allowing them to do so much. Got his first rushing touchdown, was that with the Rams? And then the first receiving touchdown
last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he's leading
the NFL
tight ends, in yards, right?
Yes,
not catches, but yards.
Yards,
I think it is.
I think actually Trey McBride has him in catches.
Okay.
But he's got the most yards of any tight end in the NFL.
It's just he gives you so many options to what they can do, and again, this is absolutely no different than what he did in college. It's like they simply took everything he did and said, okay, we can translate that.
We'll just put this in our playbook and go from there.
And he's a rookie. He's a rookie, and before long, he will be considered in that talk as offensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't really gotten that yet, but it's just, and again, they're just being efficient.
And if his touchdown was his best play last week, a close second would have been his throwaway, which not forcing it into coverage right there in the
I missed the other trick play. Apparently, they were throwing one to Bernie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was it the play before the play?
Also, the Raiders can't cover anything worth their salt.
Right.
But they covered the trick play with Warren on the throw, and then they did a tackle eligible with Bernie, and they also had that one covered.
Right.
So go figure on that.
Well, good for them.
I just want a couple real notes, and I know we'll move on. But like in 5 games, obviously Daniel Jones has only been sacked 4 times for the Colts.
Yeah.
I was just running some numbers, and this isn't a fair comparison, but Joe Burrow, just 2 games for the Bengals, sacked 5 times. Jaden Daniels, 3 games for the Commanders, 8 sacks. J.J. McCarthy, 2 games, 9 sacks. Carson Wentz, 12 sacks, 3 games for the Vikings.
There's that name.
Yeah. But, I mean, it just goes to show you, those players have done far fewer games than and far fewer plays than Daniel Jones, but he is still, to his credit and also to the credit of that offensive line, has only been sacked 4 times so far this season.
Yep. Offensive line has answered any questions that we've had in the preseason, most of them for sure. They have had a very good year so far. You're watching the Colts Blue Zone Podcast on Fox 59 now. Now let's peek backward before we go ahead to this week's game against the Cardinals. The Colts did rout the Raiders at Lucas Oil Stadium 40-6 last week. We mentioned Tyler Warren. Jonathan Taylor is the NFL's leading rusher still, 480 yards, 6 touchdowns. No turnovers for the offense, no sacks allowed like we were just talking about from the offensive line.
No turnovers in 3 of 5 games, right?
That's not too shabby. You're going to win more games than you lose.
4 or 5 games.
No, 4. Yeah, they
4 or 5
didn't
games.
turn over in their first 3 games. They had their hiccup against the Rams on turnovers, and then last week they were clean again.
Defense had 2 interceptions and 4 sacks, and special teams as well. Shegu Olubi.
How did Mekhi Blackman run out of bounds?
Oh, my gosh.
I was thinking the same
line. Thing. Should have been a defensive touchdown.
Should have been a pick six.
It wasn't like he was completely pushed out of bounds either. It looked like he had plenty of space.
I don't know. He'd like to have that one back.
I think he would. But the defense also, like I mentioned, their 2 interceptions. Latu now has more interceptions than he has sacks on the air. And I think that's probably not a great stat to have if you're Latu.
Yeah, if you look at, and whatever you believe in, like Pro Football Focus, they had like the top 10, was it pressure win rates or whatever it is?
This is very high.
He's like in the top 5.
Yep, he is.
But we're talking to DeForest Buckner about pressures against versus sacks. And if I'm a defensive lineman, I want sacks.
I do too.
When it comes time for contracts, right.
Yep.
Pressures are great, and it's all about getting the quarterback to speed him up and make him do things before he's ready. But get him on the ground, and I think when it starts, he's like that. They come in bunches.
Yeah.
I think when it comes, he'll get him 2 or 3 in a short stretch.
That's what Colts fans have to hope for, because they just haven't come yet.
No.
And there was one where he chased Geno Smith around, and then DeForest Buckner finished it off, and that's great. Like the
Buckner said he thanked him.
Yes, as he should, for sure, because Latu had a role in that sack, absolutely. But I think I mentioned this last week on the podcast. I think Colts fans are sick of the almost from Latu.
Correct.
They really want it to get done. And it's very easy for fans or media to be impatient with that. And maybe it's a little bit easier for defensive line coaches or defensive coaches when everyone else is playing to their capability, which this Colts defense is. It's a top 5 or top 10 unit. I think it's top 5 in points allowed, maybe top 10, but certainly up there in the league in points allowed this year. So,
but we said one of the things on defense that they simply had to do was to get pressure from the edge,
right?
And they've really not gotten. Okay, they've gotten pressure from Latu. I'll trust the stats. Not so much, I don't think, with Kwity Paye yet.
Nope, not really.
I think he had a really quiet game. I think we were talking in the press room. He had like 20-some plays, and he had one pass defender or whatever it was.
Bless you.
So they need more from their edge guys. Their first round draft pick edge guys.
Right.
That's why I say there's still more from this defense that we need to see.
Like to see that against the Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals for this year are started the season 2-0, but have lost 3 games now in a row after a less than encouraging defeat. Maybe you would call it an embarrassing defeat to the Tennessee Titans for the Titans' first win of the year after their running back, Amari DeMercado, pulled off the old A.D. Mitchell, we'll call it. The old...
You never see that play.
Never. No, not especially here.
Haven't seen that since last week.
But dropped the ball at the goal line. His coach, Jonathan Gannon, former Colts assistant coach, was less than pleased with his running back.
You don't see that very often in the NFL.
Anywhere.
Really
no.
That's a Woody Hayes type of thing.
Yes.
That's locker room.
Right.
If somebody gets chewed out, that's usually where that happens.
But got chewed out and got a little bump there as well.
Physical.
There was contact, wasn't there?
Yes, there was definite contact for sure. I think it was ESPN analyst Marcus Spears said something like, back in my day, that would have been a pat in the back from the coach, or that's the same thing as a pat in the back. But these days, you don't see that quite as often. And Gannon was fined a hefty $100,000 for that incident with DeMercado on the sideline.
By the Cardinals.
By the Cardinals, yeah, not by the NFL.
Not by the league.
By the Cardinals. So you don't see that.
He said he woke up the next day and he just felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure not so much yelling at him, but when.
Just the contact.
Timing.
I think contact too.
Maybe. I think he regrets it because in the moment you don't think it, but there's cameras everywhere.
But so public, yeah.
And whatever you're going to do, it's going to be on there. I think he would like to have done it all in the locker room.
Right.
You could go back because the one coach, the position coach, was trying to, get him, support him and all that, and the coach comes and reads him the riot act, and it cost him the game.
It did.
So and
you need a little good cop, bad cop for coaching. I look back to the Colts, like Tony Dungy could be a bad cop sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but he could certainly be a good cop. And then you have John Tierlink coming in here to be a bad cop.
Tierlink and Tom Moore and Howard Mudd for crying out loud. They're your attack dogs.
Okay. Yeah, so you need a little bit of both. I think.
So, but again, it's I understand the reaction, and I'm sure Shane Steichen was livid against the Rams.
Yep.
Pick your play. Whichever one you want.
Right.
But there's a time and a place, and that wasn't certainly not to that level of the place.
I mentioned the Cardinals started 2-0, but they have lost 3 games in a row, and all 3 of those games they have lost in a row have come on field goals in the final 2 minutes of the game. So they are very close to being an undefeated team, you could argue. And that's what Shane Steichen said this week on Wednesday as we spoke to him, that they're very close to being 5-0 Cardinals, but they're not. They're 2-3. So I say that you can't call them 5-0 because they're not 5-0, but they're a team that has at least been in every game. They are not like a 2-3 team that has just not been in it for a couple games and just managed to eke out a couple victories. They're a team that has shown some skill, when they're healthy, at least, through the first couple games of the season.
And that's a big part
it's a very
iffy
thing that we'll get into. But this Cardinals team is kind of reeling a little bit after those 3 straight losses in the last minute. So they're certainly a team that would be desperate for a win right now.
And again, we don't know the status of Kyler Murray.
Right, and that's the big one right now. Kyler Murray has a foot injury. He did not practice on Wednesday, and is kind of in wait-and-see mode right there. And Murray, famously called the gingerbread man by former Colts defensive line coach, Coach Baker, Brian Baker. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. You're the gingerbread man. But Murray certainly had a couple of those plays back in 21 when the Colts won Christmas weekend. Might have even been Christmas Day, I forget, there in Arizona, with a dramatic last-minute touchdown pass from Carson Wentz,
from whence it came,
to Desmond Patman in the back of the end zone there in Arizona. But we don't need to talk about that anymore. If Kyler Murray cannot go,
former Colt,
then it will be the
Jacoby.
one, the only Jacoby Brissett under center for the Arizona Cardinals this season. And
what a contrast in quarterbacks!
Absolutely,
quite different.
Absolutely. You talk about guys that just don't have a similar skill set at all.
Not at all.
And when you're talking about size, the way they throw, the way they move,
very different.
Comparable.
It's kind of like Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco.
Yes, exactly. Again, you with Kyler Murray, the play is never over. You think it's over, but it's never over. And with Jacoby Brissett, you just know where he's going to be, what he can do, and it's got to be so much easier to prepare for. But you have to prepare all week for Kyler Murray.
What Jacoby did really well, he did a couple things really well. That's why he's an NFL quarterback. He was really good in third and short, and he still is. but he was also really good at moving around in the pocket. I thought he was really exceptional at that during his time here in
avoiding
Indianapolis.
sacks unless it's against Jacksonville.
Like, he's not going to run out of the pocket like
Right.
Kyler Murray does and avoid sacks that way, or even like Aaron Rodgers really does to like get completely out of the pocket before finding something down the field. I think that's a good example of another quarterback that's not to the same athletic ability as Kyler Murray that still escapes the pocket well.
Right.
Like, he doesn't escape the pocket. He just moves around in it.
Philip Rivers, type.
Yeah, I agree. Until he could find that spot. So Murray, when he's been on the field, has been decent this year. Has 962 yards passing, 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Has been sacked 16 times, so way more than Daniel Jones, like we were talking about earlier.
Mobile quarterbacks normally get sacked more than regular guys.
It's going to happen
because you don't know where he's at.
Yeah, so you look at those stats, you're like, oh, we can get him, but then you don't get him on some of those other plays that turn into 20, 30-yard gains, and it almost mitigates those sacks, and that's why these guys have their jobs and are pretty darn good at them. He actually leads the team in rushing yards because at 173, but they've had injuries among their running backs. James Conner is one of them.
2 of them are on injured reserve.
Gone. Trey Benson, injured reserve, out. So both of those guys are gone, and Emery DeMercado, who we mentioned earlier for dropping the old ball there at the goal line, is their starting running back, and he's probably going to stay their starting running back. I don't think he's going to get benched like A.D. Mitchell was because they're kind of in a last-ditch effort here.
Yeah, he was their third guy, is my understanding.
Like, who else is it going to be right now besides him? Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's start with Marv Jr. In his second year in the NFL, Marvin has 20 catches, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 big plays, receptions of 20 yards or more. Hasn't had his breakout yet this year, but
feels like he's coming on.
Exactly. I think last week he had a decent week against the Titans, and it feels like he's getting a little bit better from a slower
Don't
start.
be the team that he breaks out against.
Exactly. Let him one more week.
Right.
And if you're the Colts, this is
put Mooney Ward on him and say
we'll deal with everyone else.
Right.
We'll try our chances with everyone else. But part of everyone else is also Trey McBride, who is third among tight ends in receiving yards, but number 1 in receptions. 29 catches this year, 275 yards and a touchdown. Trey got a big contract from Arizona this past offseason because he's really come on as a great receiving, blocking tight end in the Jack Doyle Moore vein, as a guy who's not the dynamic playmaker that I think Colts saw with Eric Ebron a couple years ago was a good example of that. And what Tyler Warren has been able to do for a couple games this year, certainly as well. But Trey can make some big plays, but is more along the lines of the guy who moves the ball down the field a little bit slowly, and is a reliable outlet for Kyler Murray.
Always, if you're the defense, you've always got to know where he is.
And here's the deal. Also, we mentioned it near the top of this show. Who guards the tight ends, chap? Is that going to be the linebackers?
Safeties?
It's going to be the safeties, whoever it's going to be. But if it's going to be linebackers, Jermaine Pratt needs to come in immediately. And
I'm not sure either one of these guys are known for their coverage.
Exactly. No, he's really not.
That's the problem.
No, neither of them. And so Pratt and Zaire Franklin are not dynamic coverage linebackers.
So you play a third safety?
Exactly.
Yeah, you use your dime package. You try one of your
it's going to be.
Yep.
Just quick update.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray did not practice today.
So Wednesday and Thursday.
Somebody, again, it's a toe injury, I believe.
Yeah.
Foot or toe injury. One of these medical guys said they're speculating turf toe or something along that line. And those things are.
I did read on the Cardinals website that because he kind of injured himself in the game last week.
And he stayed in.
He stayed in, but there were certain plays they couldn't run
Mm-hmm.
because he just couldn't. He didn't have the ability to run them.
So like with all this, it's going to be what's the Friday update, and normally players who miss 2 days and practice Friday, they don't play, but this is different.
Yeah, it's quarterback, and this is a team that's a little bit, they are going to be desperate, right? They've lost 3 in a row. They had just an embarrassing loss last week.
You still prepare for Murray.
You still prepare for Murray.
It's easier to pivot.
Yes.
To pivot to Brissett, with all due respect, because again,
it's a more traditional
go back
passer.
to 2019. If Brissett doesn't injure his knee, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right.
Despite Vinny kicking it here, there, and everywhere.
If he doesn't injure his knee and get mad at me for asking about it in the locker room there in Pittsburgh, fun times.
And then as it turns out, well, you guys know he's been kicking with a bad knee. No, you guys kept saying he wasn't kicking.
Fine.
You said he was fine.
Jeez, come on.
Terrible, awful, no good. Very
but
bad.
This is a case of let's say that he doesn't play and the Colts beat him and say, well, you beat him without Kyler Murray. You play who you play.
Doesn't matter at the end of the year.
It doesn't matter.
They don't put an asterisk by it.
Right. No, yeah. This is a half a win. So, ask the Baltimore Ravens how they feel about these injuries. It's decimating them.
Gutting.
Because Lamar Jackson did practice again today, probably ain't going to play. Nobody cares.
Nope.
Nobody cares.
Trey Benson, Greg Dortch are the only other two players outside of Harrison Jr. and McBride with 10-plus receptions, and Benson is on injured reserve.
He's not going to play.
Yeah, he's not adding to that list right now. So those are your two big targets, and then maybe you can throw in Dortch there as the third, kind of. On defense, they have some pretty good players on the defensive line, both in the front end and the back end with Budda Baker as safety. But on the defensive line, Josh Sweat has 5 sacks, which is tied for second most in the NFL right now, and Calais Campbell, he must be 50 years old.
Feels
unbelievable.
Like,
and he's still playing.
And playing well.
Playing at a high level.
Has 3 sacks himself. So they bring it both from the inside with Campbell and the outside with Sweat, who Shane Steichen had some pretty high praise for Josh Sweat this week as well, saying he knew him from his time in Philadelphia. Sweat had a couple really good years with the Eagles before cashing in elsewhere after that. So you get dynamic players in the front. And like I said, on the back with Budda Baker as well, who several Colts had to single out when you just asked in general about their defense. They said, boy, they have a good safety back there. So you can't just eye the front end and say, hey, once we get back past these guys, it's home free. Nope, not even close.
Nope.
So there's some really challenging players on that side of the ball. And in fact, some of their numbers are really good, which we'll get to in a second. In terms of points scored per game, the Colts are all the way up at second in the NFL. They're scoring 32.6. The Cardinals are 23rd, only averaging 20.6 points per game, have not been a dynamic offense. They've done their damage on defense. Like I said, we'll get to that. Total offensive yards, Cardinals 26th, Colts are 4th. Passing yards, Cardinals are 30th. The Colts are 4th. Rushing yards, the Cardinals are 12th. So the rushing attack has been what has propelled them, with it, which is partially Kyler Murray, of course, being the leader of them, rushing yards, 118 yards per game. The Colts are 128 yards per game. They're up in 9th in the NFL. Total defense, yardage, Cardinals are 21st in the league. Colts are 14th. Passing defense, Cardinals not great. This is where you can get them. They're 28th in the league in passing yards allowed per game. Colts are 19th in the league in passing yards per game. Rushing defense, Cardinals pretty good. They're only averaging 3.9 yards allowed per rush, a very, very good number. They're 8th in the NFL, allowing just 92 yards rushing per game. Colts are 12th in the league, allowing just 98 yards per game, but still 4.5 yards per carry, something you'd like
that's the one that just
like to be better.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are a team that is a top 5 unit in the NFL in points allowed per game. So they might be giving up some yards, 21st in the NFL, but they're top 5 in points allowed.
I forgot to add it in this week. They're 19.2 points per game.
Fourth, son of a gun.
4th in the league in scoring defense. The Colts are 3rd.
Exactly.
At 17.8.
So take the under is what we're saying, perhaps for this game, especially if Jacoby Brissett's going to be in there instead of Kyler Murray. But turnovers, Cardinals are even. They've forced 6. They've given up 6. Colts are +5 this year in turnover differential.
Big thing for them.
Which is a great number. They have 8 forced turnovers and 3 turnovers on offense themselves. So keep that ratio going, and your ratio of wins to losses
it's a recipe for success.
Tend to be in a positive light as well. Injury reports from Wednesday now, since this is Thursday as we tape the podcast. We're getting updates from Mike Chappell about Kyler Murray Thursday, but the full reports won't come out till later. Cardinals on Wednesday, 11 players listed on their injury report. Did not practice. Kyler Murray, tackle Kelvin Beachum. That was just a rest day for him, though. Limited in action on Wednesday. Left guard, Evan Brown with a hamstring. Reserve guard, Will Hernandez with a knee. Starting cornerback, Will Johnson out of Michigan. The rookie has a groin injury. Starting receiver, Zay Jones has a knee injury. Starting cornerback, Max Melton has a hamstring. Starting defensive tackle, Darius Robinson has a pec. Linebacker Cody Simon, knee injury. Starting right tackle Jonah Williams with a foot injury, and starting linebacker Mac Wilson with an ankle. Good heavens, Matt! Like you put all those numbers together. As you're putting that together, like that's got to
I
winds
looked
the
at
eyes.
their injury list, and then I went and looked at. Sometimes I
Depth
forget
chart?
to do it. I went and looked at the depth chart. We're familiar with some of these players, but I couldn't tell you who's the offensive.
The
starting
left guard
right guard
exactly.
for
Arizona
whomever
Cardinals.
a certain team. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they've got like 8 starters that are on the injury list this week. That's brutal.
Good news for them though is that they're mostly limited guys, and Kyler Murray's the one right there that is the one that did not participate as well. The Colts had 6 players on their Wednesday injury list. Did not practice. Tyler Goodson, the running back with a groin. Defensive end Tyquan Lewis had an illness Kenny Moore with his Achilles. And Shane Steichen told us Wednesday that they would work out Kenny Moore before practice and see if he could go. Obviously, he could not. So Kenny did not practice out there on Wednesday. Braden Smith was a rest day as well. Full participation, though, on the injury report, Alec Pierce with his concussion and Grover Stewart with a biceps injury, which I think is tremendous news because Grover's having a very Grover Stewart-like unheralded season, but making some really big plays at the right times, like deflecting balls that then Laiatu Latu can intercept.
He deflected a field goal.
Yep, he's making an impact like he usually does. And when we heard in the press box last week, Chap, that it was a biceps injury for Grover.
Your mind defaults to bad things.
Exactly. You're like, that's a bicep tear, and those you're out for 6 games at minimum when that's the case. But he's out with not out. He is in, I should say, in practice or out there on the practice field, if we want to get specific like that. The Colts take on the Cardinals, 1 p.m. kickoff Sunday.
I've got a quick update. I've got a quick update for today's practice, Thursday's practice. It's nothing breaking. Kenny Moore not practicing. He's not going to practice this week.
No.
Tyler Goodson out. Grover Stewart not, but they thought maybe today's a rest day. Tyquan Lewis is back. Alec Pierce is full. Braden Smith is back. So, again, I think it kind of gives us an idea of who's going to play and who's not. It's we've been down the road with Alec Pierce, but the fact he's practicing again is a good sign. So I think they're going to be in good shape on Sunday.
So if we look at the Las Vegas lines, the Colts are 7-point favorites. So that's another week in a row. The Colts are touchdown favorites inside Lucas Oil Stadium. The over-under 47 points, so we're expecting 27-20. That would certainly be over the limit of what these two teams, these defenses have allowed so far this year.
What's the over-under?
47. That's a pretty high number when you look at what these defenses have done. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyway, those are the numbers that matter when it comes to Vegas. Colts by 7, over/under at 47. Chap, why don't you give us what you think is going to happen first with your prediction? Then Matt will go, and then I'll give mine at the end. Chap, what do you have to say?
I've got 27-17. Good guys. Because I think again I like the way this offense is doing things efficiently, executing, and I just don't see that bad game from I just don't see it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we don't know about the quarterback, it tells me that if Kyler Murray plays, he's going to be limited, and he could aggravate that and be gone after a quarter. And if it's Jacoby Brissett, with all due respect, he's limited in what he can do talent-wise. So I just think this is a game where the Colts take care of their business, don't turn the ball over, and you'll have another comfortable day.
All right, Matt, what you got?
Well, my initial thought was the Colts should sail through this week, but that's not usually what happens in the NFL. So
except last week.
Except last week. But you've got an angry Cardinals team that had an embarrassing win, and maybe that's going to break the team. I don't know. But I think it might be a little bit closer than I had initially thought. So I'm going to go with 24-17 with the Colts holding home.
Yeah, I like the Colts defense in this game, especially if Kyler Murray is not playing. And that's not really to disrespect Jacoby Brissett, but he's a backup for a reason. So I don't know, maybe that is disrespecting Jacoby Brissett. So I like the Colts to win.
Whenever you say you're not disrusting somebody,
exactly,
you usually are. It's like, with all due respect, sir.
Yeah, I like the Colts to win. I'll go with 27-9.
Whoa!
Final score.
Right.
Like I think
they might be the number one scoring defense if that's the case.
That's right. I like I said, I just really don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals, especially if Kyler Murray is out, because they're a team that's really supposed to be built around him. Like they have their top 2 running backs out, and Marvin Jr. hasn't done anything dynamic, and Jacoby Brissett's not the quarterback you're trying to throw to receivers if you want them to be dynamic.
He'll be on the sidelines, won't he?
Well, I would hope. I would hope so. That'd be great. Have a Syracuse legend here
on
in
the
town.
other sideline.
Yeah.
He certainly will be on the Arizona sideline.
I would think so.
You wouldn't think he'd be walking next to Reggie.
No, probably not. No.
They'd say, sir, you're on the wrong sideline.
Excuse me. Yes, exactly.
Yes. He says, my name's up on the building.
I can be wherever I want.
Whatever I want.
Exactly.
Do you know who I am?
All access.
Mm-hmm. It certainly should be if it is not that way. So hopefully we will see Marv, and he'll get a nice greeting from the Colts fans.
When you watch Arizona play and you watch Marvin Jr., the way he lines up, that's Marvin.
It is.
His stance.
He's just 6'4".
And yes, and the way the arms dangle and that little droop, it's Marvin just bigger.
So it should bring back some fond memories for Colts fans who have seen the past, the RCA.
Did Marv Jr. play here when the preseason?
I think he played at least in a Big Ten championship game.
No, I'm talking when the Cardinals came here for a preseason game. Remember they were here for joint workouts?
Yeah.
I don't believe Marvin Jr. played.
I don't think he played in the game. No,
right.
Like he played in the workouts, like in the practices.
Right. Just
I think they rested most of their frontline players.
Exactly. So now we get to see what he can do in an NFL game on the turf
against Mooney Ward.
Here.
Don't you put Mooney Ward on him?
What else would you do?
Gosh.
What else would you do?
That's what you said you're going to do.
Exactly. Well, we certainly appreciate you listening and watching the Colts Blue Zone podcast this week. You can subscribe, get us delivered to your podcast listening device whenever we drop. And of course, you can watch it on YouTube and on our Fox 59 Now app as well. For Matt Adams and Mike Chappell, I'm Dave Griffiths. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.